we have a special guest that we're going to bring on now, which I am very excited, and our paths have crossed in my other little deal that I do with booking and concerts and all that stuff, and I'm pretty excited to have this lady come on here, and I'll let her introduce herself, so let's bring Jessi on. Hi, Jessi.
Hi, how you doing? Hi.
Doing fantastic. It's Elvis Day.
It's Elvis Day. Oh, it's always a good day when it's Elvis Day.
Yes. So how you doing? You doing well?
Doing well, yeah. Performing a lot. I've got a lot of shows and getting to meet new people and new fans, and that's always good.
Now,
so staying busy.
Now you perform Elvis songs. Yeah, I mean, you do the whole outfit, all the movement.
Oh, yeah.
You do everything.
Oh yeah. Wardrobe, right down to the sideburns and the shaking, and I do the 50s, 60s, and 70s. So it gives me a wider range of songs, material to do, and it's a lot more fun that way too. Because growing up, I studied his movies and his records and just anything I get my hands on. So being able to portray him in any era of his life is so much fun. He was an incredible artist. Yeah.
Now, do you have a mafia? If you don't, I would definitely be a part of that. If you're...
Yeah, I do. I have a really great close circle of friends who support me, and they come out and help, and
nice.
We caravan to shows and stuff, and they have a really good time. The support there is really great. So I feel pretty fortunate. Yeah, I call them the Mallory Mafia.
Hey, I could be the towel guy. You probably have a towel guy. You probably.
I think I need a towel guy. I don't really have one, but yeah.
I'm
totally
that guy.
You can be that guy.
I got to be good at something. Certainly, a radio host, that's for sure. So, I believe at the very least, January 8th in Unity, Maine, I am 99% sure we're good to go at the Unity Performance Center with you performing in Unity doing Elvis. I am beyond ecstatic, and I am working on this summer possibly having you at the nearest dragway that's pretty close to us and pretty close to most of us in Winterport, and I'm hoping to get you right out there. I was hoping to say it's booked, you're in, and all that stuff, but we're still working on this stuff. But I mean, I am beyond excited. I mean, like I let off with before, I mean, Elvis has been a part of my life, my whole life, really. I mean, so to have this is kind of personal when it comes to booking you and all that. And I heard some of your songs, and you have an amazing voice. I mean,
thank you.
It's unreal. You're welcome. I mean, I am beyond excited to have you booked, and at least for January 8th. I mean, I'm hoping that we'll get it in this summer, and I'm pretty confident. But Jess, can we why don't we play a song now? This this is my 10th show, so it's kind of special to me. And
congratulations. That's great.
Thanks. I really, like I said, I was hoping to maybe get to 3, but we made it to 10. Right. But you're the first person I ever tried to upload a song that is somebody that I'm going to be booking. I've never had that person.
Really?
They're all Johnny Cash or Kenny Chesney, Elvis, Hank Jr.
Right.
So I have no idea how this is going to freaking go, man. I mean, I hope it works. If it don't, we're going to know here in about 10 seconds.
Right.
But if it works, you're either way, you're the first person to have that distinction. So.
Well, I feel pretty honored. That's great.
Well, yeah, you're either going to be honored or you're going to be mad as hell at me. All right, so let's give it a shot and see what happens, all right?
All right, sounds good.
All right, I'm pushing the button. There you are. All right, I'll see you in a couple minutes.
the things that we two could plan would make my dreams come true. Just call my name, yeah, and I'll be right by your side. I want your sweet helping hand. My love's too strong to hide. Always live very quiet life. I ain't never did no wrong. Now I know that very quiet life has been too lonely, too long. One night with you is what I'm now praying for. The things that we two could plan would make my dream come true. Always live very quiet life. I ain't never did no wrong. Now I know the life without you has been too lonely, too long. One night with you is what I'm now praying for. The things that we two could plan would make my dreams come true.
Yay, Jessi, that was awesome.
Well, thank you.
That was very cool. And sorry to call you dear going in. That main deal kicks in once in a while. I try not to do that on the radio, but
it's okay, dear. That's all right.
All right, dear. So how many songs do you sing? I mean, is there any songs that you don't sing? I know it's kind of a two-part question, but
well, wow, I'd say in a given show, if I'm doing just 50s, the songs were so fast. They were like 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So
yeah, I learned that myself uploading songs.
Right. It's like in an hour show you can get up to like 40, 45 songs.
Wow.
I sing just about all of them. I try, if it's a new crowd, to stick to the hits and sprinkle in some lesser known Elvis songs. But yeah, I do. I take requests too, so even if it's something random off an album, and it's not a hit, I could probably do it. I've just spent my life learning him and the lyrics and all the records and all that stuff. So, and if it's a request and I don't happen, he had over 800 songs. So if I don't happen to know one, then I'll learn it for somebody and do it at the next show. So.
Do you do much of the gospel songs?
I do. I think that's his gospel catalog's probably one of the best. I really enjoy songs like Help Me and I Believe and Crying in the Chapel and all those. How Great Thou Art, I think, is my favorite, though.
His voice is unbelievable. It's perfect for that kind of genre. I mean, you can't get much better than that.
Oh, yeah. He had that smooth tone, and he had a 3-octave vocal range, too, which meant, he could pretty much sing anything. And, I think that's what's so great about, portraying him or being a tribute artist is that there's such a variety of stuff that you can do. I love it all. I really do.
This is kind of random, but I've been trying to work on curling my lip today. Elvis just kind of he gets his lip curled up there, and he got stuck there once, so I had to kind of literally rip it back down.
Yeah. You can get a cramp in there from practicing too hard.
Oh man, I remember when I was in 6th grade. You know, I was a lot skinnier then. My face was skinnier and stuff like that. So you know, everything. If you smiled, you know, your whole face and muscles were moving and stuff, and my lips, you know, kind of went up a little bit. I can remember this one particular girl saying, "You like Elvis?" Like, yeah. You know,
yeah.
Wasn't doing it on
Can't
purpose.
help it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So when did you start singing, Elvis? I know you said your whole life, but like in high school, did you perform then?
Wow. Well, I think the first time that I started, the first time I heard of Elvis, I was about 4 years old. My mom gave me Elvis's Golden Records, the actual record. I had a little record player. I just fell in love with it. I wanted to play guitar. I wanted to do all that stuff. But I was pretty shy. So I would just sit in my room and listen and, you know, privacy and sing along. And I kind of grew up singing to Elvis or with Elvis. And I didn't really perform until my high school talent show, really.
Right. And you must have done well.
Yeah, I did pretty good. I was nervous, and, you know, but it went over really well. And so then from then on, you know, I've just loved getting up in front of crowds, and it doesn't matter, you know, big or small. It's always fun.
Well, it seems like you're not. I mean, it's kind of important, you know. I mean, to be an Elvis person. I mean, now, ironically, as you know, Elvis said that he was nervous at every show before the show started. I mean, every footage that I've ever seen. I mean, he looked like he was kind of in agony, to be honest with you. I mean, that pressure that he had to try to bring it every time, and as many times as he was performing, I mean, that's unbelievable. I can't think of anybody that did it the way he was doing it. Now, maybe he was pressured into doing it from the Colonel there, but
right.
But it was unreal.
I think his image probably got the best of him, and everybody. I mean, every show he did, you know, especially through the '70s concert years, was sold out, and he had everybody there was waiting to see, you know, Elvis, that image of him, you know, going back all the way to the '50s, or their favorite movie, or, you know, whatever. Right. And I feel like you're right. I think you're right. There was a lot of pressure there for him to always nail it. And critics weren't always so kind to him in the later years, but, you know, regarding his weight and all that stuff. Right. But his voice never faltered. Like, he was an amazing performer till the very end.
When he was performing Bridge Over Troubled Water in his later years, I mean, that was fantastic. They were saying that his body was giving out on him, but his voice even got better. You know?
Right.
That's kind of a lost thing.
Yeah, and I always kind of thought maybe that his appearance wasn't what he would want it to be, and I think that helped him focus on his voice. And I mean, of course, his voice got better with time just naturally, but I think the big wow factor for him in the later years was really focusing on his voice and just blowing people away with that. And the fans didn't care. They didn't care what he looked like. They just wanted to see him, and no matter how sick he was, or, you know, but he always sang.
I watched a lot of footage today, and not at any point did I ever hear any booing. I didn't. I mean, maybe there was. I don't know, but I just didn't. I mean, and you know, some of the stuff at the end, you know, he you know, you could tell that he was kind of struggling to, and everything. And you know, he would just say a funny little line, you know, and everybody was clapping, and right back in his corner again, or never really left his corner. But I mean, it was just awesome.
Yes, every time I do a 70s show, or I have 70s in my show, that's always the one that brings the house down. I'm sure. He's just so incredible.
It does say a lot that a lady like Rainey, who, you know, is like just an amazing Elvis fan, of all the songs that she could pick, her is the one that she prefers. I mean, she likes them all, I'm sure, but it's just unreal.
I think Hurt's pretty symbolic of the way he felt at the time too, I believe, and he put his guts on that song. He just really put his soul into that one.
Yep. You know, and Elvis, you know, he was taking so much stuff to try to help him get up and down, whatever. I mean, I hope, you know, how old was he when he passed away? 42?
He was 42, yeah.
Yeah, 42.
Yeah.
I mean, that is young. That is so young.
That's so young, yeah.
I mean, he looked really 52, 62 at the time. He was not a good 52. I mean, I know some of my friends that are 52 look better than I do. And I'm not like that. It's unreal. I don't know how they're doing it, but something's eating right.
Right.
But yeah. So what's next for you? I mean, what's your next on your horizon? The next month or two.
Well, let's see. What do I have coming up? I've got the Black Fly Festival in Milo on June 4th. Going to be doing 2 hours of Elvis up there. And we're working on the Elvis story, which will be at the Brick Church on June 23rd. And that goes through his entire life, his career. It tells his story, wardrobe changes, projection screen with video, you know, pictures of him, video of him, light show and all that stuff. I've been working really hard on that. That means a lot. You had mentioned earlier, you know, the personal side. Elvis affected everybody in some way, and it is always very personal. Every show I do, someone cries, or if they're not an Elvis fan, then their parent or their grandmother or someone who's passed loved Elvis, so it touches them. And just to see that effect on people really, really does mean something. So when I do my shows, I try to do them as authentic as possible, just to kind of recreate that for a minute and bring people back to it, or just bring it to people. And the Elvis story that we're working on, I think, will do that, and it's very touching from start to finish. It's actually like quite an honor to be able to do it, because I've always been an Elvis fan my whole life. So yeah.
Well, I'll admit, man, you gotta, you know, being 47, you know, kind of, you know, I am what I am, and I do what I do, and you know, if I'm mad, I'm mad. If I'm happy, I'm happy. If I'm sad, I'm sad. So when I was, you know, putting the Elvis stuff together, and you know, it is kind of emotional. I mean, some of this stuff is very touching, and you know, and having if you got a parent that, you know, loved Elvis and stuff, or friends or whatever, a lot of memories come back. You know.
Yes.
So it's been a great day, very spiritual kind of a day where you just, you know, you're up and you're down and you're floating all around. Now, luckily, I just been in my studio all day, you know, for the most part. So, you know, I've kind of been here, my little puppy dog there. It's been me and him all day long, you know. So, you know, nobody really, if I wasn't really mentioning it, nobody would really know that kind of stuff. But,
sure.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know. I mean, some of the stuff at the end of the show, we'll probably get a few people with some, you know, getting some Kleenexes and stuff. I found this, it takes about 5 minutes, and it's really cool. I think even you know, who lives Elvis every day, I think you would get, you know, really enjoy that. So, so you got the Beach Boys going on in the middle 60s, and you know, and the Beatles coming on and everything, and then there's our friend Elvis Presley at the comeback special in 1969, looking great. I mean, he had lost a lot of weight. I mean, to get ready for that. I mean, what a phenomenal show that was. I mean, I watched the show in entirety today. I mean, talk about nailing it. I mean,
yeah.
I mean,
he was so nervous about that. You know, he hadn't performed live, and you know, he was stuck in those movie contracts. And he hadn't performed live in so long, and he was so nervous. But, yeah, he was like a panther in that suit, just roaming around the stage and just owning it, you know. He was great.
That black leather must have been incredibly hot with those lights.
I had read that. Yeah, I had read that they had to have a few suits made up because they'd have to cut him out of his pants after each taping because he would sweat so bad they'd stick to him, he couldn't get them off.
Now, when you get down to show, and I'm assuming that you're like that too. I mean, do you? What's the first thing you go for? You go for water? You go for Gatorade, beer? What do you usually do?
Well, typically water. It's you get so keyed up and worked up, and you
right.
respond to the crowd. So the more the crowd gets into it, the more you get into it. So then there's more work for you, actually. So, it can get a little sweaty, but it's all worth it. It's so much fun.
And it's not like you're, you're just performing one of those tributes where you're standing with a guitar and you're doing your thing and you're not really moving around. And I mean, Elvis moves, you know.
Yep. Constantly. Something's moving constantly. Even on slow songs, he's moving his leg, or he's gonna get his fingers moving around, or he can hold still at all.
Can you imagine those ladies? Can you imagine those ladies back in the 50s on the Ed Sullivan Show, and you're sitting there watching TV, and he's like gyrating all over the place? And I mean, who was doing that kind of thing? You know? Exactly. I would have been one of those dads that my young daughter was sitting there watching that. I would have shut it off, or I would have been that lame probably.
I know. It's funny to look back on it now because here he was wearing, two-piece suits and a tie and, just shaking his legs, but he caused such an uproar over it. It was so new, it was so different. And that's what keeps Elvis, his memory alive. All these years later, he was different. He was new and fresh, and he started something huge. So, And
he was so shy too. I mean, that's just it's endearing, really. I mean, it's so different. I mean, he's so charismatic, and you just kind of wanted to root for him, It's amazing how some people have that. They just pull you in, You don't really want, you don't even want to come in, but there you go,
You can't fight it. Yeah. No, he had the gift. That they broke the mold when they made him. He was something else, that guy.
Well, for one thing, like with you, Jessi, I mean, you're sitting and doing, Elvis. Probably every week, and I mean, you do have that too, I mean, I'm not saying you are Elvis, but I mean, you have that you're charismatic. I mean, I've never met you in person. We've talked a little bit, but I talk to a lot of bands. I mean, that's what I do,
Sure, yeah.
And you're, the way you write, the way, and the first time we actually talked live was tonight, So
right.
I mean, really, the way you write is, it kind of brought me in. So, it is kind of cool. And now that we've talked, I can see why your popularity is just skyrocketing. I mean, so if people wanted to your stuff, and how can they do that? Just on Facebook?
They can find me on Facebook. And I do have some CDs that are available at my shows and stuff like that, or they can message me and I can send them out to them. There is some video of me on YouTube as well, so that's a good place to check out some live clips and have a listen and, go from there.
Well, this the first time I tried to bring somebody on, it didn't work too well. They actually they didn't even recognize we were actually. I said, "You're on the air live," and they just kept on with the conversation. So unreal. I thought I know Righteous Brothers. Am I saying that right?
Yep, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that originally sang it, but I mean, I love Elvis' version. I mean, the Frank Sinatra, My Way. I mean, Frank does a great job too, but I mean, Elvis, and unfortunately, you know, a lot of you know, the writers and stuff thought that Elvis could sing anything, and he did well. I mean, but
right.
I mean, some of those songs from the movies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, man alive. I mean, if he wasn't singing it, it would have been laughable. You know, the fact that he was singing it made it tolerable, and you know, the best he could do. I mean, but can you imagine though if he had he had even a better songwriters, and especially in his later years, that would have been great. I mean, it would have been awesome to have him sing some of those amazing songs that were out there.
Yeah, he needed a challenge in those later years too.
Right. Yeah, I'm getting the last 15 minutes of the show. It's going to be a little bit different. I'm looking forward to that last 5 minutes of the little thing that I found. I mean, I'd like to talk about it, but I don't want to give it away because once I start talking about it, then I want to play it, and then that's
right.
Elvis hasn't left the building yet.
Right.
So, you know, we gotta not talk about that right now. But you've been able to stay on a lot longer tonight than I ever thought you could. I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm having a great time. Anytime I can talk about Elvis is a great time. It's a good thing for me.
Yeah. So, what is your favorite song to sing from Elvis? Like you personally? I know, right? It's a tough question.
Wow. There's so many.
Put you on the spot here.
The first time he recorded the song "Love Me," I think in the 50s. I remember being a kid and hearing that song and just believing it and feeling it. And I think that's Elvis's gift is that, you know, you mentioned, you know, he covered "You've Lost That Loving Feeling" and "My Way," and the original artists are great. But when Elvis sang those songs, you believed it. You believed he believed it. And
that's a great way to say it.
Yeah, yeah. And
I love that.
He had a way of
so
bringing
cool.
a song. Yeah, he had a way of bringing a song to you either live or over, you know, the radio or on a record that just made you feel like he was singing right to you, and that he believed it. And a lot of artists nowadays, you can kind of tell they're kind of just going through the motions. I mean, if you watch Elvis perform, all you got to do is look in his eyes. You can see that he's in the middle of that song. He's inside it, and every lyric he means. And you don't see a lot of that today. There's so many. I have so many favorites, but
you did one thing that I noticed the Beach Boys do, you know, in the later years, because they just had their 50, year anniversary of singing and everything. That, you know, some of the songs that we know and love, like Hound Dog and stuff like that, that he was putting it into what's the word I'm looking for? Like a melody, like a John, you know, like 3 or 4 of a medley. Sorry.
Yeah, a medley. Yep.
Yeah, and then 3 or 4 songs together, that kind of thing. The Beach Boys did the same thing. You know.
Right. Yeah.
And so I mean, really, that was like one of the best parts of the whole show. I know in the Beach Boys that they when they started doing their car songs. I mean, people when they performed in Bangor, I mean, they just stood right up and were just clapping, like going nuts. And and then Elvis, like I was listening, like I said, on my fan page, I might have 3 fans, I don't know, on my personal page, that Elvis Presley, May 24th, 1977, Augusta, Maine, 8mm footage.
That's wild, isn't it?
It's really cool. I mean, if you play that, I mean, loud. I mean, those fans, they never let up. I mean, I read one person stood in line for 2 days. There's probably more than one, obviously, but there was a bunch of people who stayed in line for 2 days to try to get tickets to get in there. So what a huge. I mean, who would have thought that just a few months later he'd be gone? I mean,
what was it, like 3 months later? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's unreal. I mean, I'm looking at him right now. I mean, he was a little bit overweight and stuff like that, but I mean, he never would have figured that out. I mean, he was performing well. He had his white towel, which that apparently that's going to be my new job. Being the towel guy for you.
Right.
Am I going to get like gas money or anything? Or
no, we can work that out, I suppose. Yeah.
I eat a lot too, so I don't know.
Well, you'll fit right in. Yeah. You'll fit right in.
Yeah. Well, here's an Elvis song that I don't believe. I'm trying to keep track of what I played and what I haven't played, but if I have played it already, it's an Elvis song, so it's all good.
No harm in that. Yeah.
Yeah, but this particular song, I mean, Willie Nelson, I wrote it, I believe. And the videos are, it's amazing what the videos have come out with now. I mean, people have played that as the soundtrack of their own personal video, like weddings or something like that. And, or somebody had passed away and they put that on there. And so always on my mind was just, lyrically, it has to be one of the top 20 songs of all time, I think. I mean, it's very poignant.
It's a very touching song, yeah.
Yeah, it evokes a certain image. So, I mean, it's something that's, it's always, I've listened to for decades, I mean, that's one of his greatest songs ever.
Yeah.
One thing we haven't really talked about is, the effect of Priscilla and getting divorced and I mean, from what I can see, that definitely took a toll on Elvis.
Yeah, it did.
I mean, I really do think he actually really did love her very, very, very much. I mean, I think it's well chronicled, some of the stuff that went on, but I think he cherished her, and I think once he realized that she was leaving, she was gone and not coming back. I mean, footage I've ever seen, and you could just see it in his eyes,
Yeah, it was a huge blow to his ego, and it was, the light kind of started to fade around that time when she left, and but Elvis, he couldn't have just one woman at a time,
right.
And he didn't really want to get married. When he got married, that was a lot of prompting from the Colonel to do that, and where Elvis had met Priscilla so young,
right,
and I think he did really truly love her, but he just couldn't cage her, and he couldn't stay faithful, so that was no way for her to live.
Do you know if Suspicious Minds, like the time frame of that song compared to the Priscilla and Elvis splitting up, does that coincide together, or was that just coincidence?
The recording of it, I believe, was around 1969. So that was, I believe they got divorced in 73 or 74. I believe it was 73.
Right. Right.
But she was always suspicious, and she was always finding, lipstick or clothing, or so the song was very, very relatable to their relationship. But
yeah.
But that's a song
he
did, for the rest of his life.
Right. Boy, if you had to stereotypically look at Elvis, at that time frame in the late 60s, early 70s, if I know the people that maybe were right in the middle of all that, the people that actually were in his circle, which I know there wasn't that many people. I mean, that Elvis didn't particularly let people come in too easily.
Sure.
But people that had a chance to kind of be just outside the circle or just inside the circle, definitely must have noticed a trend toward Elvis not making it, to the 80s. I would think. I mean, it's sad. I mean, I chuckled, but I'm not chuckling. It's sad. It's
right.
I mean, but that goes for everybody. I mean, any time that you're taking drugs and eating not right, and I mean, if like they were saying in the footage I was watching today, with the Elvis Mafia, they were saying, well, it's Elvis. I mean, he's going to be all right. I mean, we were worried, but I mean, he's and that obviously he's just a person. I mean, it's the way it is.
Right.
And,
to everybody, he was larger than life, even his friends. And his friends tried to help him, but like one of his friends said, how do you help a man from himself? He's an adult. He's the one that's got to call the shots. You can't admit him into a hospital. He's a grown man. And but he put everybody first, and he put himself last, and he was more worried about who he'd let down if he canceled the show, and who would feel the effect of that, right down to the roadie, loading his stuff. It's their job, and if he doesn't do his job, then 100 people down the line can't do their job, and he put a lot on his own shoulders that way, and he got to the point where he didn't enjoy it.
I think loyalty was one of the things that killed Elvis too. I mean, I think his loyalty to everybody and to the fans and, to his people that he was trying to pay for and, to help. And also Colonel had I think is well documented, and, we'll get sued here, but I'm pretty sure that Colonel Sanders, the Colonel had a gambling problem.
Yeah.
I mean, so
and I'm primarily why. Yeah, that was primarily why Elvis was stuck in Vegas towards the end of his life, to pay off the Colonel's gambling debts.
I mean, what a character that Colonel was, though. I mean, unreal. I mean, he's not, over time, and all the information that's coming out, he's not showing well here. No. No, he certainly did. He did help Elvis skyrocket and did make a lot of bad decisions for Elvis, and it shows with the bad movies and the bad songwriting and the films and all that stuff. So I was watching something today, and they were saying that they were in Vegas, and he sat there and lost $1.5 million that night. Yeah. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to lose in an evening. Yeah. I think he was playing roulette or something, some foolish thing. And it was some kind of weird game. It was like Around the World, I think it was called. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's like something that the chances of you winning, you might as well play, you're better off playing blackjack or something like that than try to play that game and win. But that shows you right there, what the issues were. So it's sad to think that, you might not have had Elvis's best interest in heart. And I don't know that for a fact. But it certainly didn't, it appears that way, It does, yeah, you're right. So Elvis's birthday is January 8th. Is that right? If I remember right? Yeah, 1935. Wow. That's very cool. So one thing that we've been working on is to try to get a place for you to perform. And like I had mentioned, the Unity Performance Center. Have you ever performed there before? I've never performed there, no. Unreal. I mean, the acoustics are great. The stage is phenomenal. It's got balcony seating, and so it's. I mean, I'm hoping. Nice. if we're, I mean, like I said, I'm 99% sure we're all set there. I'm hoping when we sign on the dotted line here that we're going to be able to fill that place, and and hopefully people will. Yeah, and I think that you gained some fans tonight. To be honest with you.
Well, that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because I could put the Elvis costume on, and I do have the lip thing down. I think. I think practice today has helped a little bit, and I probably can move. Back in the day, I could actually move a little bit, but then I would have to sing, and that that would be the end of my my day trying to be Elvis. But with you got to do all of that, and you must. Do you see people that have wanted to do it now? I don't want to. Hopefully everybody has a dream and they can do it and whatnot. But have you seen many tribute, guys that want to do Elvis and just, have fallen by the wayside kind of thing, or?
Yeah,
or
kind of.
And many out there.
There's, it's funny because, you can kind of tell with tribute artists, Elvis tribute artists, who's an actual fan when they do their show, and then you can tell who's doing it for the paycheck. Mm-hmm. And, I feel like when I do my show, it's always from the heart. Like it always means something to me. It doesn't matter if it's a small room or a big venue. It's always from the heart, and it always means something to me because I see what it brings to people in the audience.
Right.
It's such a humbling feeling to see people react and cry and laugh and just have a good time. There are some really great tribute artists out there who love Elvis, and you can see that when they perform. And I think the ones that kind of put on the silly wig and the cheap costumes and stuff, it's kind of a caricature of Elvis. And there's a group of us that, when we do it right. We do it to a T. We make sure everything looks authentic and feels authentic, and to pay the best tribute that we can. And I think that's really important because for a moment, you're bringing that legacy and that image to an audience. And I think it's important to do that respectfully. And a lot of the people that just, have egos, or they do it, 50%, you can tell, and it kind of, I don't know, it's almost like it's making fun of him or something. But right. The show that I try to do is respectful, and I would never want to disrespect Elvis in any way. So it's always from the heart, and I think that's really important.
Yep. No, I mean that's phenomenal that you would actually. I've actually used the word phenomenal more than I've ever had in my life, but it seems to be the word of choice. But we're talking Elvis, so it obviously kind of rolls off the tongue here.
Right.
Well, see, I mean that's what I've gathered, from you. I mean your reputation is definitely preceded you because. I'm definitely, it's not like I've been doing this for a long period of time here. So, I mean, every show that I have makes a difference. So I'm gathering my reputation, right, as we speak, So,
sure. Yeah, well, and it's a great business to be in because you do get to meet so many talented people and great people. I enjoy it, and when you're right in the middle of it, especially if you're a promoter, and you get to work with everybody, I think it's great.
I wish the one thing I do wish though, I wish I had more money. What a show! If I had the amount of money that it really takes to do it, like an amazing job. I mean, I am proud. I don't usually go that route, but I am proud of the fact. That I'm able to do what I'm doing with not a lot of money behind me, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that people believe in me. and I think it's the people that I'm working with, are great people. I mean, they're not just, just show me the money,
Sure.
You're not
exactly.
that kind of people, and I fully think that you're that way. People that I want to have on my team.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people, in the chat room and tonight, and listening to you talk, and they can feel your passion about music and what you do, and the fact that you have picked Elvis, it's just great. I almost said phenomenal, but I've used that 5 times, so probably should.
It's phenomenal. No, yeah, I mean, and I hope that comes off that way, because that's how I feel. I think if you're good at something and you're passionate about it, sky's the limit. It's a dream. I don't know why. It just always has been a dream of mine since I was little. I wanted to be Elvis. I wanted to be like him. And, of course, nobody's ever going to be Elvis. Nobody sounds exactly like Elvis. And it's never going to happen. But I do feel fortunate enough to have a resemblance and be able to mimic his vocals enough to entertain people. And, I can't ask for more. I think it's great.
Yeah. I mean, one question, I was just looking through my notes, because I knew you were going to be able to come on. I had no idea you were going to be able to stay on as long as you did, though. I mean, that was just great. I mean, literally, I thank you very much. It made my
you're welcome.
10th show just, you know what, phenomenal.
Phenomenal, yes.
Phenomenal. The question I was going to ask you, that it's in my notes, when the intro of Elvis, do you have, what do you do for an intro?
Well, for the 70s stuff, I do the, the 2001 Space Odyssey, just like him, or like he did. And, it goes right into CC Rider or That's All Right, Mama.
Right.
So it's, real pumping and real fast. For the 50s, I have a sound clip of somebody talking about Elvis and building him up and what his legacy was, and that one usually goes right into Shake, Rattle, and Roll, because that one gets everybody all excited. Intros are very important when you do Elvis. The build-up is very important.
Yeah, when I was actually, I knew I wanted to do the intro first, obviously. So I mean, I went back through and to see what I wanted to do. When I was playing, I mean, I could literally feel my body getting, sitting up straighter, and I was like feeling it. Can we? I know we're in the 10-minute mark here. Can we play the intro that I have? I mean, I try to find it with the intro right into CC Rider, and I obviously heard that a ton today, but I couldn't get it, that particular part. But the little intro that I have, I mean, this is about 7 or 8 hours ago is when I started doing the prep work for this show, and I mean, I just want you to picture what I always like to know I'm going to do an Elvis show, and then this intro came on. I mean, I've been on cloud 9 for hours now, so just play it one last time, and then we have hopefully a pretty cool ending to the program, and hopefully maybe you've heard it, maybe everybody's heard it. I hadn't, and I mean, honestly, I had tears in my eyes when I was listening to it. So here's the intro one last time. See, I'm standing up already. I start hearing that, and I'm like, let's go. I mean, what an awesome way to get into that. I mean, you had the drums, the kind of which everybody loves. I mean, with Peter Criss with Kiss, we start doing that kind of thing, and I mean, it just, gets people all wound right up.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, what a great way. I know it probably would have been smarter if I had some kind of manager that was, for me, particularly. I know there's a show manager, but for me to, like an agent to me, they would have said, why don't you wait till next Tuesday, on the day that he actually performed back in 1977 on May 24th.
Right.
But I, honestly, though, I wanted, as great as that was, I wanted to have Elvis on my 10th show. I mean, it's a big deal to me that I honestly, if I was hoping to get to 5 shows and then I was hoping to get to 10 shows, now they get to my 10th show. I mean, I had a great time. I hope other people did. I know there's a lot of Elvis songs out there that I didn't get a chance to play. And please, I hope this maybe inspires you to get remember Elvis, and some of you live Elvis every day. Play the songs, listen to the documentaries. I mean, it's just been a great day. I couldn't ask for a better way to celebrate my 10th show.
That's great.
Yeah, and thank you, Jessi, for obviously being there for a lot longer than I ever thought you were going to be able to do. But
the pleasure's mine, really.